right, we're going to step into the consumer market, but let's start with the 7 big oil and gas companies on our markets. Don't forget, yesterday, these oil majors says they're going to start laying off workers if they don't get paid. They said there's about $2 billion arrears with the federal government, and that they've borrowed loans from banks with the capital and interest accruing. They say they can't hold it any much longer. So these are some of the folks involved there who are under the umbrella of the MOMAN. That's the Major Oil Marketers Association of Nigeria. That's what MOMAN stands for. Corn oil, 27.70. 40 oil down 2% as part of the overall market haircut. Pt.1, formerly Mobile, 165.11. Down by 5%. MRS on change at 33.66. Owando below 7 naira now at 6.80, down about 0.75%. Seplat on change at holding it there at 4.82, and Total give us a single green shoot for the day, 2.75%, 2.43 at the closing bell. What's in the news from the energy markets? Of course, the China Civil Engineering says it's now in a $5.8 billion deal with Nigeria on the Mambila hydropower project to be funded 85% by the China's Exim Bank. Let's backtrack a little bit. What's the snapshot of this project? It has been on Nigeria's drawing board since 1972. Some of us were just a few years old by then. That was 45 years ago when Nigeria first planned to set up the Mambila hydropower project. 45 years down the line, we're now ready to go ahead. The estimated construction period will be about 72 months. That's about 6 years. It's a very big project by scope of work. About 700 kilometers of transmission lines will be involved. But the major source of fuel for this power plant is water. So that's very interesting. Meantime, what will it deliver? 3,050 megawatts is what Mambila will deliver if we complete it on schedule and is fully up and running. That's going to be one of the largest electricity projects Nigeria has ever undertaken. Meantime, the Dangote refinery situated under construction at Lagos backwater says it's in bed with Schneider Electric. That's the German company for system architecture, supply chain and operational efficiency for this greenfield power project. And finally, from the home front, in terms of cooking gas, the marketers who are the key business folks in that says they want lower VAT for cooking gas, and they want import duties also reduced drastically on LPG equipment to attract more investors and get more Nigerians to use gas for cooking instead of kerosene and other unqualified, or what you call dirty fuel, and not so healthy for women and children. Adimo Kwesa from Financial Derivatives. Good morning.
Good morning, Wilson.
Yeah, let's start with the big story on Mambila project. Okay. This is big. Is this as big as it can get?
It is. It's a huge development. So first, let me just quickly run through our burning issues today. First, we have oil prices are down to $50 and some change. The naira has appreciated to 366 naira to $1. The NNPC has rearranged its top management, and all marketers are lamenting about $2 billion owed subsidy arrears. And lastly, we have power output is up to 3,457 megawatts. If you compare that to the 1st of August, it's about a 16% increase. But I'm sure the viewers will be a bit perplexed that why is power output up and diesel prices are still high, about 170 to a liter now. I think the answer to that is that there's a lag between when power output improves and when diesel prices go down. So, and this improvement in power output just happened in the last 4 to 5 days. So in the next 2 to 3 weeks, we should see diesel prices come down.
A very difficult issue is to how power output increases. That's around the upstream and the midstream level. The downstream part of the energy sector is where things are sticky. That's and right. It looks like we are unable to get things right and move on as quickly as where people would want to see the end of it.
Yes, that's right, that's right. And going back to the question you asked, I think the Mambila project is a huge, phenomenal project. I think all the details are on point. If you look at $5.8 billion, 85% to be funded by the Chinese, that's about $5 billion. That means the government has to cough out about $800 million. And it's in concessionary rates. That means low interest rates, and we wouldn't have to pay till 10 to 20 years. So it's a very good thing that's happening now. And hydropower, it's a greener source of energy. I think we're seeing this shift from fossil fuels to greener sources of energy. And I think with this hurricane, floods in Asia, concerns about global warming, climate change are even more higher than they were. So I think 3,000 megawatts, that's almost double our current output now. So if in this will take 6 years to construct, so we don't see this till about 2023. And by then, I think our power output should be, let's say if you go by the Economic Recovery and Growth Plan, our power output should be about 10,000 megawatts, 12,000 megawatts. So if we increase this hydro source of our energy mix to 6,000 megawatts, that's almost about 50%, which is a very optimal mix. So we're on the right footing. Yeah.
Well, the right footing, yeah. And I'm going to keep dragging those of you who are economists and analysts down from your high end of the market down to the man on the street, yes. Which is where we are today. Yes. We can produce as much as 100,000 megawatts. Yes. Folks can't feel it, and that's the problem. So how do we fix the downstream side of this problem, which, of course, we know the usual culprits: metering, crazy bills, as it were, quote and unquote, lack of infrastructure. So we're investing so much at the upper end of the market, of the energy market, yes. Aren't we?
Yes.
$5.8 billion to expand production from that side, yes. Which is good news.
Yes.
Now, do we have as much money and new investments coming into the downstream side where the folks on the street want a new transformer that is good and stable, the usual infrastructure that we need?
I think the fundamental issue here is the need for cost-reflective tariffs. Without cost-reflective tariffs, I think discos, I think that's the weakest link in the power value chain. They don't have. If we look at the total capacity, we can produce about 7,000 megawatts, but discos can